We'll be today looking into vision casting and career mapping. It's something so important in everybody's journey. And as some already shared their expectations, expecting to gain a clarity, expecting to understand more about how to cast a vision, we'll explore all this and hopefully it will meet your expectations and you'll move out from here with a clear vision, with a measurable vision, and something that you can one day and one time look back and be like, I've made it through. That is it. I think I'll not really be having much to say. We'll just get into the session. There is a bit of issue with the screen. I don't know. Samuel, are you working on it, or I can share it from my side?
I hope you can see my screen now.
There is nothing showing. Yes, the screen is showing, but then the slides are not there.
I just want to confirm if you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
The screen is showing, but the slides are very tiny.
Sure, it's visible now. Yeah, as I mentioned, today we're looking into vision casting and career mapping, right? And looking into where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. The bridge is your choices that you make repeatedly from today. So your today's choices determines where you will be 5 years from now, or even 1 year from now. So if nothing changes, where will your current choices take you? If nothing changes, what you have already chosen today, where do you think it will take you 5 years from now, or even 1 year from now? So your future is not shaped. Please get back to that screen. I'm not yet done. Yeah. So your future is not only shaped by what you want, desiring or dreaming isn't enough, but what you repeatedly choose, what you practice and prioritize, it shapes the future. So wanting it, dreaming about it, talking about it isn't enough, right? But then the choices that you every day make, the choices that you every day take, the practices, the habits you have every day, the priorities that you set determines that future, right? So reflecting, try to reflect on the choices and think of these, in just these few seconds. The choices you've made, where are they taking you from now? Where are they taking you 5 years from now? Whom do you think you will be by the choices you've made if nothing changes? Next slide. So everything begins with your inner self. And that's why I think we're having this fellowship named as Build Your Best Self. Your inner self determines everything before it comes to your outer self. So the thing begins from the inner foundation, then to a future direction. And the first thing is to know yourself. Self-discovery brings in the clarity now. If you have known your identity, you have known your values and your beliefs, you are able to now move towards a clear direction. Second to it, protect yourself, your well-being, your boundaries, and your energy. It's not everything, that should affect you. It's not everything that you give your energy, right? Not everything that you give your energy. Not everything should affect your well-being. And not everything should cross your boundaries. So it's very, very important as you're moving towards that future and as you're working towards developing that career, you need to protect yourself, protect your well-being, protect your boundaries, and protect your energy. Reserve it for things, that are worth it, not anything. Thirdly, you need to lead yourself. Lead yourself with resilience and with discipline. So self-discipline is a key. Self-resilience is a key. Before an outer push, the resilience should come from within. The motivation should come from within. It's what keeps you moving. But when you wait on the outer support, the outer push and energy, you will get frustrated. You will get stuck. So from your within, lead yourself. And then, have that resilience and have that discipline. Fourthly, direct yourself. Now comes in the vision, comes in the career, and comes in the goals. Having a direction by yourself, knowing the vision you are heading towards, the career you're mapping, the career you are desiring to pursue, or the career you're already in and working on improving it or growing in it. It's very important. So these four things are the foundation to that future direction: self-discovery, protecting yourself, leading yourself, and directing yourself with the vision, with the career, and with the goal that you have. Let's move to the next slide. So basically, our learning objectives for today are as follows. We are aiming at assessing our present reality across the major domains of life. So we want to assess where we are, the current realities we are facing across our major domains of life. And one of them will be the career. Describe a clear 1 year and 5 year future direction. It's going to be something practical. At least after this session, you should be able to describe your 1 year vision or direction so clearly, not a vague vision, a clear vision, a defined vision. We'll have a map realistic career pathway and identify capability gaps. Fourthly, we'll have to convert long-term vision into strategic goals and quarterly actions. Having a long-term vision, you just don't arrive there. There would be strategies, there would be goals to take you there, step by steps, little by little, and we're going to break them down. So before reaching that long-term vision, you will have to take it step by step, little by little, until you make it. And the last objective will be build an integrated vision and career roadmap for the next 12 months. So this is something that is going to be practical after the session. At least you should be able to have all these. Next slide. So what you will leave with after the session, of course, it's a future clarity, as some already mentioned it as their expectation, and then actionable roadmap. So with the future clarity, a 5-year direction, a 1-year priority outcome, then a personal vision statement. So it shouldn't just be a statement, it should be something to work on. As you cast that vision, you need to take a step, daily actions, daily habits, and make it real. So the actionable roadmap, we have the career pathway, we have the skills gap plan, we have the quarterly milestones, and the support and accountability. So hopefully you will leave with all this after the session. Next slide. So we're beginning with understanding the vision, because this is the picture of it all. Understanding vision. So move beyond wishful thinking, move beyond dreams. Define a direction that is grounded in identity, in values, and meaningful contributions. You should have a clear and a defined direction, not just wishes, not just dreams, not just thoughts that you tell everybody about, but something that is defined. A direction that is grounded in your identity, in your personality, grounded in your values, your principles, and a meaningful contribution to the people around you, to the community you're in, the impact that you will leave at the end of the day, right? So you have to understand your vision. So vision casting is more than just a goal setting. It's more than just setting a goal, maybe a short-term goal, a mid-term goal, or even a long-term goal. So vision goes beyond that. Casting a vision goes beyond that. Looking into what vision is, we say vision is a compelling picture of your desired future. You know, a whole picture, a bigger picture of the future that you desire personally. It's broad and meaningful, and it is purpose-driven. It guides choices across the life domains. So when you have a vision, you know, your choices are guided. You don't just choose maybe because others are choosing. No, you have a guided choice because you are purpose-driven. There is something you are aiming at the end of the day. So across your life domains, your choices will be guided once you have a vision. And what goal is? So it's specific outcomes that move you forward. This is what a goal is. So when you have a goal, it moves you forward every day. That's why we have the short-term goals that you set maybe for days. You can say maybe tomorrow I will have to do 1, 2, 3, attend, build your best self fellowship. That is a goal, a short-term goal for tomorrow. And it moves you towards something. It moves you forward. It takes you a step ahead, right? It's measurable and it's time-bound. So a goal, you can measure it, and there is a time limit for it. Then goals turn your direction into actions. So you don't just have something you're watching ahead or aiming at ahead, but with the goal, it helps you turn it into an action. You take a step, right? You take an action towards making it real. So why vision matters? Why do you think vision matters? Number one, vision gives you a direction. I think we have already talked on this. So if you're someone who has a vision, you will have a direction. It will help you to decide what deserves your time. It's not everything you'll give your time. You'll be specific, looking towards something, having a clear direction that you're looking at. When you have a vision, you'll also be focused. You know, you will be protected from distractions and unhealthy comparisons. You won't be moved by maybe the things happening around you. Here you will be goal oriented. You know what you are aiming at. You have something that you're focused on, and you'll be protected from distractions, comparisons. Number three, why goal vision is important is motivation. If you are someone who have a vision, you will stay motivated. Every difficult season in life will have a meaning. But if you don't have a vision, you will give up. You don't have a vision, you will not be resilient through the journey. You see that? So you will stay motivated even when things are difficult because you have something that you're looking forward to achieve by the end of the day. The difficult seasons will be meaningful to you. You will know that this is a part of the journey that I'm moving towards. Fourthly, resilience. Having a vision reminds you why continuing matters. It tells you you don't need to give up because there is something ahead that you need to achieve. There is something ahead that you need to fulfill. So if you're someone who don't have a vision, you will not have a reason to continue. But when you have a vision, you will stay resilient. You will have a reason to continue moving. You will have a reason to continue going ahead. See that? And lastly, alignment. That is very, very important. It connects daily choices to long-term purposes. So every daily choice that you make, when you're someone who have a vision, you will walk in alignment, you know. It's not just anything that you choose. It's not just any opportunity you grab. It's not just any event you show up for. You're not seen everywhere. You're someone with a vision. Everything you do, every daily choice you make aligns with what you have set ahead of you, with the vision you've casted to achieve. So that's why it matters to have a vision. You will have a direction. You will stay focused. You will stay motivated. You will stay resilient. And you will walk in alignment. Every choice you make will align into every domain of your life. So vision filter. It's not any opportunity you pick. There are questions you ask yourself, right? So does this move me toward the person I want to become? If it doesn't move you toward the person you want to become, then it's not for you. Does it align with my values? If it doesn't align with your values, then it's not for you. So you don't need to compromise your values. Does it build a skill, relationship, or opportunity that I need? If it doesn't, then no. Does it create meaningful impact? It has to create a meaningful impact. What might I need to say no to in order to say yes? You'll be in position to let go of some of the things in order to say yes to something else that is clear, that has a direction, and that you know where it's heading to. So these are questions to ask yourself to filter that vision you are casting. So we're looking into vision, what it is. So there is an aligned vision and there is a copied vision, right? The copied vision could be the misaligned vision. It's not aligning with your values. It's not aligning with your passion. It's not aligning with your purpose. You see that? So the misaligned vision, it's usually driven from comparison or even from pressure. Maybe because somebody else is doing that, you also want to do it. Someone else has casted that vision, you also want to cast the same vision. And it might not align with your value. Please, that person should mute himself or herself. So we say the copied vision or the misaligned vision. And it happens that most people go through this. And at the end of the day, there is no fulfillment. At the end of the day, you are not reaching anywhere else. You will end up frustrated. You will end up giving up in life. Because if there is no alignment, it's not aligning with your passion, it's not aligning with your values. You know, there is nothing that will keep you going ahead. There is nothing that will push you, right? So the misaligned goals, the misaligned vision, sorry, it's usually driven by comparison or by pressure. You cast that vision because of a certain situation, but it's not matching your value, it's not matching your passion. So you don't need to cast a vision out of a pressure or out of a comparison. It should be out of alignment. It should be rooted in your values. It should be rooted in self-awareness. That is an aligned vision. Second to it, a misaligned vision focused only on status or approval, nothing much. It focus on status and only approval. People saying yes to it. Though it doesn't match your values, you keep going. But with this, it doesn't create impact. It doesn't leave something behind, and it doesn't reach a fulfillment. You see that? So aligned vision must respond to genuine needs and possibilities, not just approval, not just status. There is something it should, look into, something genuine that it should respond to. Taking an example of this specific fellowship, the Build Your Muscle Fellowship. It's a vision that someone came up with, and the person is trying to respond to the needs that people are facing in the community. And I believe after you graduate, you will testify that it has changed something in you. It has, turned something within you. For us who finished from this fellowship, we are a testimony of this. You see that? So a vision that you are casting should respond to genuine needs in your community or the people that are around you. It shouldn't just be about being approved. It shouldn't just be about maybe somebody else has done it. No, it should be something that meets a need, something that creates a change, something that brings an impact, a lasting impact, not just a temporary one. You see that? So a misaligned vision ignores personal values and capacity. So you just cast it ignoring your values. You cast it ignoring your capacity. And it won't go ahead. It won't create any impact. It won't bring any change. So that is a misaligned vision. And it happens to so many people. So you don't need to ignore as much as you are casting that vision. You don't need to ignore your personal values. You don't need to ignore your capacities, because we have different capacities. What you are capable at, I may not be capable at. And I shouldn't just cast a vision because you've casted that same vision, because our capacities differs. So I should cast a vision at my capacity and within my values. I shouldn't ignore my strengths. I shouldn't ignore my weaknesses. I shouldn't ignore my values as far as I'm casting that vision. So aligned vision includes growth, includes well-being, and contribution. If you have built or casted a vision that is aligned, there will be growth in it. You personally growing, the people around you growing. There will be a well-being in it, and there will be a contribution that it will bring to the surrounding you're in. A misaligned vision creates achievement without fulfillment. So achieving alone is not enough. Earning a degree and graduating from a university, it's not enough. There should be a fulfillment. So many people graduated, but they are not fulfilled in life. So many people made achievements, but they are not fulfilled in life. And that is a misaligned vision. You shouldn't cast a vision that you don't feel fulfilled at the end of the day. So achieving, it's not enough. Yes, you can cast a vision and you can achieve. But if you're not fulfilled, you are not satisfied, you don't feel enough at the end of the day, you don't feel that rest and that joy, you still have something that you need to do about it. So aligned vision, clear enough to guide action. If you have an aligned vision, that vision will be clear enough to guide your next actions to take. So basically, it's the difference between an aligned and misaligned vision. You should be reflecting back in yourself by now. The visions you've casted so far, are they aligned or they're not aligned? At the end of the day, are you just achieving or you're fulfilling? Most important thing is to fulfill by the end of the day. Is to make something that you are satisfied with. Not just something that people clap hands for you, not just something that community appreciates, not just something that family says, yes, my daughter has made it, our son has made it. No, you should feel it from deep down yourself. Sometimes the surrounding may not see it, but you yourself, you are feeling enough, you're feeling satisfied, you're feeling fulfilled. That is the most important thing. So we need to look at where vision is discovered. So vision is not something you invent, it's something connected with your soul, something from your within, and you are uncovering it. So where do we discover our vision? Look inside of you, your inward, your passions, your gifts, your strength, and your values. Before you cast that vision, get to discover your inward, get to know your inward, get to know what is your passion. What do you love doing? What do you feel good doing? What is that thing that you're ready to do for free? Even when you're not paid, you feel okay about it. You're ready to sacrifice, you're ready to move distance to just do that thing. That is a passion. So as you are casting that vision, get to discover your inwards, your passion, your gifts. What are you gifted at? We have different gifts. What is your strength? What are you able to do? Without forcing it. It comes naturally. You see that? And what are your values? The principles that you believe in. Second to it is look at your pain. The problems and experiences that move you. If you don't feel that burden, if you don't feel that pain from your within, empathy. Sometimes there are people that when maybe you see someone suffering or someone going through a difficult moment, you feel that burden, you feel that pain, and you feel like giving out a hand of support, lending a shoulder to that person. It's something that you need to discover yourself. What is that specific situation in your community that always breaks your heart, that you always feel like you have to change it, that you always feel like you have to do something about it? That's why you see people coming up with initiatives, right? And I think Brenda is one of them. She came up with the Build to Build Self-Fellowship as a result of understanding the burden and the pain that she has seen around her community. That people need to get back into their inner self. People need to first discover their inner selves. People need to first build their inner selves. You see that? So look around your community. What is that burden? What is that thing that moves you? Maybe an experience that you might have gone through and you don't want anybody else to go through again. You want to start a change. You want to make a change. So we have things like child protection going on at the moment, things like gender equality. So it's out of the experiences that people have maybe experienced or things they have seen in the community, maybe their mothers, their sisters, going through difficult moments, and they thought of coming up with such initiatives. So as you are discovering your vision, look at your pain, what moves you. Look at your experiences. What have you experienced that you don't want the next generation to go through? Then the third thing is to look upward. Looking upward is looking at your calling, the meaning and the faith, and then the legacy that you want to leave. What you have been called for, what you think God has called you for, the purpose that you think the Lord has called you for, or your life has been called for to fulfill, the meaning, the faith, and then the legacy that you want to leave behind. It's important. What are you planning, or what are you intending, or what are you willing to leave behind you? What will people remember you for? I think we'll always remember Brenda for the Build to Build Self-Fellowship. I'm trying to bring it realistic. That's why I'm using example of the Build to Build Self-Fellowship, because it's a vision and it is started and it has a clarity, a direction that is moving towards. So we'll one day be able to remember Brenda for this, right? The Build to Build Self-Fellowship, the founder, she will leave a legacy behind, and she has already started it, because this is so far the fourth cohort, right? So there is a legacy. So it's something that you need to look at. Look upward. Look at your calling. Look at the meaning. Look at the faith and the legacy that you want to leave. Number 4 is look outward. The needs, the opportunities, and the emerging possibilities. As much as you give yourself, that priority, there is also a need to consider the environment you're in, the opportunities available, the needs, the resources, what will take you there, right? And then the emerging possibilities. So to discover your goal, you need to look outward. Look at the needs, look at the opportunities, and look at the emerging possibilities. Number 5 is find the overlap, where your abilities can serve a meaningful need. All these 4 of them, where they overlap, there you are fulfilled, there your vision is. Next slide. So number 2 is know where you are. No. Where are you currently? Your current state, your present state. So clarity begins with an honest assessment of your present. Not shame, not comparison, not denial, but honest assessment of your current present life. Not the shame, not the comparison, not even the denial. Having honestly assessed yourself at the moment, what is working out, what is not working out, what next should I need to do, with all honesty, not lying to yourself, not comparing yourself with others, but with all the honesty, assessing your present. Next slide. So your current reality, looking honestly to yourself. Number 1 is what is working well. You should be honest with yourself. Like you don't need to lie to yourself. Be honest. Like what is really working out right now. As you are listening now, reflecting to yourself what is really working out at the moment. It's important. Be honest to yourself. If there is nothing working out, it's also good to be honest to yourself. There you'll be able to figure out a new strategy or a new step to take and make it work out. The number 2 is, where do you feel stuck? Make that assessment. Where do you feel stuck? You might have ever tried, you feel stuck somewhere. Assess that. with honesty. What patterns keep repeating? There are things you do and they keep repeating. There are scenarios that keeps repeating. There are patterns that keeps on happening time with time. You need to also assess that with honesty. What responsibilities shape your choices? Yes, responsibilities can shape the choices that we make. You see, so assess your current reality with all honesty. You don't need to lie yourself. Be honest enough and assess them. Ask yourself those questions. Then look compassionately. That's another current reality. So do not turn your starting point into your identity. It's not yet the end. So where you are starting shouldn't conclude, shouldn't give you a reason to conclude or define your identity. You still have a long way to go. You still don't know what could still happen ahead. You still don't know, the opportunities ahead. So be compassionate enough to yourself. Recognize progress that you already made. It's important. As far as you have come, there is a progress you have made, and you should be in position to recognize it. Don't just look at maybe the failures. Don't just look at the things that haven't worked out. There is something that has worked out. There is a progress that you have made, and you should need to recognize that. Separate what you control from what you cannot. There are things that you cannot control. So not to give yourself hard time, be able to separate them. What you cannot control, leave it. What you're able to control, control it. Most of the time we stress ourselves with things that we don't have control over. There are things that changes with time. But we force things at times. And that affects our lives, affects our well-being. Earlier we talked of protecting ourselves, protecting our well-being, protecting our energy. So you don't need to stress up yourself. If things are not working out, leave it. Do what is working out. Do what you're able to control. Do what you're able to change. And the ones that you're unable to control and change, you leave them. The right time will come for them. The other thing is choose the next area requiring attention. That is still part of your assessment. The area that requires your attention, you need to choose it and work on it and do what is required, do what is necessary. Next slide. So this is just more of exercise. It's an assessment. I think as you're going through the slides later, you can go through it. A life domain assessment, your identity and growth. What is working, what is not working out? What needs that attention? So I think you can later have a reflection and assess yourself with this. Let's move to the next slide. The number 3 point is design your future self. This is very important. Have a picture, an image, of your future self. So we're moving from where we are currently now to the future. That's where our goal is. That's where our vision is. So you need to have a design, a picture in mind of your future self. So before choosing goals, become clear about the person, life, and contribution those goals are meant to build. You have to be clear with that. Before choosing the goals, you have to become clear about the person, the life, and then the contribution that those goals are meant to build. Next slide. You need to meet the person that you are becoming. As you imagine that person, meet that person. How does your future self think and make decisions, right? What values guide their choices? You are designing your future self from where you are right now, 5 years ahead of time, 1 year ahead of time, How does your future self think and make decisions? What values guide the choices of that future self? What habits protect their health, their focus, and integrity? What skills and relationships have they developed? What are they contributing to their family, to their workplace, and to their community? So your vision is not only about what you will have, it's also about who you must become. So designing your future self makes you understand who you must become, what you must do to make it fulfilling. to become better than your present that you're in right now. So you have to design your future self. So your 5-year vision, 5 years from now, what is your vision 5 years from now? What meaningful work are you doing 5 years from now? Imagine, have that picture in mind. What is that meaningful work that you are doing? What skills or qualifications have you built? Imagine your 5 years self from now. What does financial progress look like in that future self? How are your health and your relationships 5 years from now? Your contribution, what benefits from your growth? Who's benefiting from that growth 5 years from now? Who will be the beneficiary of that growth you've made? What problem are you helping? Are you helping to solve? Is there something that you're changing in the community? Is there a specific problem, that you're helping in solving it? What reputation have you built? Looking back, is there a reputation you've built? What impact are you proud of? So you have to have this design, have this picture in mind. When you have it, you'll make it practical for you to do something. It will make it practical to move from where you are right now with a new momentum and have, a bigger impact, a bigger change 5 years from now. It's not far. It's not really far. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. All right. We're there. Your 1-year vision. We're bringing it closer now. We have imagined our 5 years vision, but before we get there, a 1 year will come. So what is your vision for 1 year? Right. So by this time next year, now we are in August. So by August next year, what must be meaningfully different? What must be meaningfully different about your life by next year, August? That is a vision, Which 3 outcomes matter most? What capability must you develop? And what habit must become consistent? Time management? Is it a habit that must become consistent 1 year from now? Keep it realistic. Keep that vision realistic. Build from your present responsibilities. Keeping it realistic makes it possible. When you don't keep it realistic, it may not work out. But when you keep it realistic, you are making it possible. So build from your present responsibilities. Choose progress. Protect health and relationships. Focus on outcomes within your influence. You should focus on the outcomes. So you should focus on outcomes within your influence. Keep it realistic. Next slide. So here we are, writing a personal vision statement. How would you write that personal vision statement? So it's not just a matter of writing it, but doing it. The steps you will take, the actions you will take towards making it real. Okay. So number 1 is identity. Who am I becoming? As you're writing that vision statement, reflect on your identity. The direction, what am I building or what am I pursuing? Number 3, the values, what principles will guide me? That is your vision statement. Number 4, contribution, who or what will benefit? And lastly, commitment. What will I practice consistently to be there? So your vision statement should comprise of all this: your identity, your direction, your values, your contribution, and your commitment. And that makes up a vision statement. So it shouldn't just be a statement, it shouldn't just be something written down. It should be something that you work towards, something that you consistently, build and make it real. So at least August next year should be somebody different, should be progressing, should be fulfilled at some angle. Number 4, now we're looking at career mapping. We said we're talking of vision casting and then career mapping. So career mapping, we say it's is a process of planning and visualizing how you can progress from your current skills and experience to your long-term career goals. Being a student or being a professional, you need to map your career. So mapping your career or having a career is not a one job title. It's a pathway of experiences, skills, relationships, and contribution. So mapping your career, that's what it takes, your skills, your experiences. So career mapping creates options. Number 1, it connects your current position to possible future roles. Having mapped your career, it gives you this option. It connects where you are at the moment and what is that possible future role that you can have ahead of time. Number 2, it reveals different routes. Not only one perfect job. There could be other routes that takes you somewhere. So having mapped your career, it reveals the different routes that can take you there. It helps you identify the experience and the skills each step requires. The experiences and the skills that each step will require. Having mapped your career, you'll be in clarity of the experience you need, in clarity of the skills that you need in each step that you are to take. It prepares you for lateral moves. It prepares you for portfolio careers and also what? The pivots. So when we talk of the lateral moves, we're talking of changes or changing to a different role at a similar level rather than getting maybe a promotion. So when you have your career mapped, maybe let me give an example. Someone who's working as a lab scientist. You can start by working in a hospital lab, and maybe with time you can move to a new role of working in a research lab, right? So here you are within that similar level, but then the roles differ. So when you have your career mapped, you can have, prepare you for that lateral moves, the adaptability. You'll be able to adapt, being moved maybe from a hospital lab to a reference lab or to a research lab. Having your career mapped out, you're prepared for that. A portfolio careers, building career around multiple roles, skills, or even sources. Assuming you're a lab scientist, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you're a public speaker. So having a career map prepares you for this. And lastly, a pivot. That is a significant change that can happen in your career. Maybe you're someone who has done maybe a laboratory sciences, but then you also have a digital skills. You are good maybe at tech, or you have attained some tech courses. You can move from being just a lab scientist to maybe being a health technologist, or maybe doing health data science. So it's a pivot. So when you have a career mapping, that becomes easy for you. You are prepared for that change that may happen ahead of time. So these are the options that career mapping can create for you. You won't face difficulties maybe shifting from that specific career to the other career, because you have skills, related skills in that area. Next slide. Understanding your career landscape. You need to understand your career landscape. Looking outward and looking beyond titles. So what roles and sectors that are growing? So the career landscape, it's more like an assessment, maybe in the field that you're doing or in the field that you want to do, right? So to understand that career landscape is very, very important in your career mapping. So one is to look outward, look at the roles, look at the sectors that are growing, look at the problems that need capable people, look at the technologies, that are changing the work. We can see how AI now is coming in. We can see now how digital skills are taking over. We see these graphic designers. Yeah. Now you can see everybody can design something with help of AI, right? So you have to do a career landscape, assess that area. Which opportunities are local? Which opportunities are regional? Which opportunities are remote? You need to look beyond titles. It's not enough to just be called a doctor, to be called an engineer. Look beyond that. What work do you want to perform? What environment helps you thrive? Which values must the organization share? And what evidence will employers or clients expect from you? That is very important. So career landscape, making that assessment, understanding the field is very, very important. Looking outward and looking beyond just a title. Next slide. So career pathways are not always linear. They are not always linear. Well, let's look at the career model, what it looked like, the opportunity and the watch out. So looking at a linear pathway, what it looks like, this is just a role, maybe to a senior role, and to leadership. The opportunity there could be the depth, could be the progression. And the watch out is it may limit your exploration. That's very possible. If you're just moving from this role to a senior role to the next, just being promoted in that same line, you may be limited. You may not explore enough. That is something you need to watch out. Another model is the lateral. It's the lateral part of it. Move across roles or sectors. We shared something earlier. As I gave an example of you moving from a hospital lab to a research lab. It's the same thing, but then the roles differs, the sectors differs. The opportunity could be the breadth and then the adaptability of it. You can adapt. You can build that adaptability. But then the watch out is it requires active learning. You should be active in learning. Be someone who learns, someone who studies, someone who research, someone who knows, how things are going. The next model could be the portfolio. We mentioned earlier having multiple tasks, you see. So here you can be employed, you can be a consultant, or maybe work on projects. That's how it looks like. You have multiple tasks that you're doing at the same time. The opportunity here is a variety and multiple skills. I gave an example earlier. You can be in your profession, maybe the career you are doing. You can be out there doing the things that you're talented at or skilled at. You can be there doing maybe what you have done, other short courses. It's very common, I think, in South Sudan. Here you find someone, a doctor, at the same time, the person is in politics, at the same time, the person is in business. You see? So the opportunity could be variety and multiple skills. But then the watch out is that it requires self-management. Because if you fail to manage yourself right, you may miss it out. And you won't give your best at any field by the end of the day. So what you need to watch out in that model is a self-management. Manage your time, manage yourself. Don't give less at one angle and give more on the other angle. Balance it out. The other model could be the entrepreneurial part of it. What it looks like is build a service or a venture, and the opportunity is the ownership of it and the impact it can bring in. But the watch out is higher uncertainty, the risk, the uncertainty, what you don't expect out of that. The other model is the hybrid. This combines several models over time, something hybrid, bringing several models at the same time. The opportunity is flexibility. You can be flexible enough, but then the watch out is it needs a clear priorities. Be able to clearly prioritize what you needed. So if you're not someone who have a clear priority, it becomes difficult. Let's have the next slide. So choose a pathway that fits. That's important. Choosing a pathway that fits. Fits what? That fits alignment. So looking at, does it support your values and desired life? A pathway that fits your capability. Can your strengths be developed for this path? A pathway that fits the opportunity. Is there a real need or a market for this? Choose a pathway that fits the sustainability. Can it support your well-being and your responsibilities? And lastly, choose a pathway that fits experimentation. What small step can test the pathway before giving it your full commitment? Something that can give you the space to have an experiment with it. Test it before you commit fully to doing it. Don't choose a pathway, that doesn't fit that area, but requires you to fully commit. No, something that you first try little by little before you give it your full commitment. So here we have a map to build in your career pathway. We have now, next, the build and the direction. So the now is the current education maybe that you have, the current role, the current experience, the skills, what you have currently at hand. The next thing is the realistic opportunity available. That realistic opportunity you have around you. Thirdly is the build, the skills you have, the evidence, the networks that is needed. And lastly, the direction, the long-term work and the contribution. So this is a build, this is a career pathway map. It starts with your now, your next, the build, and the direction. Looking at your unique foundation, you have the strength and the evidence. That's very important. The strength and the evidence. The strengths includes the natural abilities, things that you naturally have, things that you're naturally capable at. We have the technical and the digital skills, the soft skills like communication and the relationships that you have, the character strengths, the experience and lived knowledge. So those are your strengths, and that is a unique foundation in your career mapping. The evidences are the projects completed. So it's not just enough to have a natural ability, it's not just enough to have a skill, but have an evidence, have a project completed, have a result achieved, a problem solved, a feedback received, and responsibilities trusted to you. So it's not just enough to have the strength, it's not just enough to have the skill, it's not just enough to have the experience. There should be something proving it, there should be something tangible about it, something seen, and have the evidence. So career skills gap analysis. As I mentioned, this is also more practical. You have to analyze the gap, you see, the desired pathway, the required capability, the current level, the gap, and then the development action. So it's something you sit with yourself and try to see it. What is that desired pathway? What are the required capability for that? First, hold on. Let's have it back. Yes, the desired pathway, you personally, the required capability in that pathway, And then the current level. Are you at the basic level, the mid level, the strong? Then what is the gap? Is the gap low? Is the gap high? And the development action. What steps to be taken? The next slide. So closing the gaps with evidence. Learn courses, reading, coaching, and guided practices. And then practice. Simulations, projects, repeated application, and have that experience by volunteering, doing internships. Most of the times we want to start with big jobs immediately, with contracts. But you first need to build that experience. Go for an internship. You never know afterwards what will come up. Go for voluntary work and build that skill, build that relationships, build that network. Number 4 is demonstrate. Have the portfolio, multiple tasks category. Have the work samples, have the results and the recommendations. The number 5 is to connect. Have mentors, connect with your peers and the professional communities. Next slide. Turning the vision into the action. So a meaningful future is built through focused priorities, realistic milestones, and consistent review. Turning that vision into an action, it's very important. So you don't build a meaningful future, just out of nothing, but through a focused priorities and a realistic milestones and consistent review. Next slide. Making a SMART goal. This is a very important strategy to use towards turning that vision into an action. Have SMART goals. So a SMART goal, it's just breaking it into a specific goal, something specific, something defined, a measurable one. So your goal should be SMART. Your action step should be SMART toward turning that vision to reality. Make it specific, make it measurable, make it achievable, make it relevant, and let it be time bound. There should be a time limit for it. Don't just leave it open. Set a time limit by the end of this year, by next year, by the end of this month, after 6 months. So have a time bound and make it relevant, make it achievable. Don't put in goals that you cannot achieve, but put in goals that are achievable, that you can be able to achieve, goals that can be measured, goals that are specific. And then the strategic part of it, they should be connected to your vision. They should build capability and or opportunity. They should be worth the cost and the effort. Clear about what you will not prioritize. And then supported by a review system. Has to be reviewed. There should be a reviewed system. After some times, review it. What has gone well? What has not gone well? What have I achieved? Did the strategy work? Didn't it work? And what next should I do? So the outcome or the activity, attend a course, maybe read 4 books, apply for jobs, post on LinkedIn. This is an activity. The outcome of this corresponded to it. So attending a course, the outcome should be demonstrate a new skill. Maybe after attending this Build Your Best Self fellowship, what new skills are you able to demonstrate? After reading maybe 4 books, apply ideas to a real project. Maybe after applying for jobs, secure interviews for suitable roles. Posting on LinkedIn, you must have built a visible professional credibility. So this is an outcome, and then the activity of it. Next slide. Reverse engineer the vision. You need to reverse engineer the vision. The 5-year direction. Where am I ultimately going? Bring it closer to 1-year outcome. What must be true in the next 12 months? Bring it more closer to a quarterly milestone. What progress belongs in this quarter? And then a monthly priority. You see, we have moved from the 5 years to 1 year. Now the quarter part of it, the monthly priority of it. What must move now? And then the weekly action. This now becomes maybe your daily actions. That's why we said earlier that the repeated choices, the priorities we make, defines the future, the vision and the future that we have. That is it. So from 5 years to 1-year outcome, quarterly milestones to a monthly priority and a weekly action. What will I do next? And doing that consistently will make you reach where you're aiming to. Next slide. You should be able to choose 3 to 5 1-year priorities. At least have a specific number of priorities that you should be focused on. Select outcomes that materially move your life forward. Not things that keeps you stuck, not things that keeps you struggling, things that move your life forward. You need to balance your career progress with your health, with your relationships, and financial reality. That's very important. Balance it. Your career progress should be balanced with your health, your relationships, your financial reality. Don't do things that affect the other. Balance the things out. Don't do things that are beyond your financial reality. Balance them out. Don't confuse a long list with a strong plan. It can be one, but strong. Could be a list of many, but they are not taking you anywhere. So you don't need to confuse a long list with a strong plan. Name what you will postpone or stop. You should be able to. Not everything that you have to carry on, not everything you have to take through. There are things you'll have to postpone. There are things you'll have to prioritize. There are things that needs to be done urgently. There are things that needs to be stopped completely. You see that? You should be able to name them. Give each priority a clear, measurable, a clear measure and deadline. As far as you have set the priority, you should give it a clear measure and a milestone or a deadline. Shouldn't just be opened. Make it time bound. So a focused year is more powerful than an overloaded year. So overloading your year with a lot of things, it's not a guarantee that you will make it, but rather having a focused year. You know what you're doing, focused on one thing. It's more powerful because at the end of the day, there is something that will come out of it. Next slide. This is also a practical thing. Your 1-year integrated roadmap, the priority outcome, why they matter, the measure of success, and then the deadline. Next. And it's also another practice that is a quarterly milestones. The priority, let's say it's a career or a learning thing. Yeah, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. So this is more of putting it practical, what we're just discussing now. So having a support system and then accountability is very, very important. A support network in your career mapping is important. Having a mentor or having a coach It's necessary. Having the peer or the accountability partner, that is also necessary. You need to build that. A professional community, it's important. And then a family or trusted friend. You won't make it there alone. You need to have that network that supports you, network that push you, network that guides you for you to make it. You see that? And that's very important. Have accountability system. A monthly progress review. It's important. Review, maybe after a month, after 2 months, have a system that helps you review. Maybe you journal things down. You come back to that journaling system and you'll be able to review after a month or after 12 months. Then have evidence of action. Have a honest feedback. And then celebration and correction. Celebrate that progress. Correct where necessary. And keep moving. Next slide. Track, review, learn, and adjust. This is very, very important. Track that progress. Review it. Learn from what didn't work out and what has worked out, then adjust from there. So you act. Complete the next meaningful step, right? That is an action. Completing the next steps that are meaningful. Afterward, review. Compare progress with the plan that you've set. Do they work? Has it worked out? You need to compare it. That's a review. Then identify what worked out and what didn't work out. After reviewing it, you should be able to learn what has worked out and what has not worked out, and thereafter adjust. So you don't just end there. You need to adjust, improve the strategy without abandoning the future. So if something didn't work out, it doesn't mean that you should abandon that plan or that vision. You need to adjust accordingly. Get a new strategy until you make it, until you reach there. So failing it at some point, having it not worked out at some point, shouldn't be a reason to abandon your future. But you need to adjust, be flexible, give it another turn in another way, and you may see it working out. Next slide. We have setback, we have pivot, and a stop. There are setbacks, there are changes that happened, and there is a stop at some point. So when should you persist? When should you keep moving? There are green lights to keep moving, and there are red flags to maybe pivot or even maybe to stop. You see that? So when should you persist? When the vision still aligns with your values. If that vision isn't aligning with your values, then you must have to do something about it. But so long as the vision still aligns your values, you can keep going. Persist with it. When progress is possible with a better strategy. If there is no possibility of a progress, you need to look into it again. When the difficulty is part of learning. Not every difficulty is part of learning. But when the difficulty is part of learning, then you can persist and you can keep going ahead. When you still have that sustainable capacity. But if you feel you don't have that sustainable capacity, review that and look into it again before persisting, before continuing. When should you pivot or have a significant change? New evidence changes the best direction. When the cost has become harmful or unrealistic, there is a need for a change. When a strong opportunity has emerged, yes, you need to grab it, pivot, and change. It's a significant change. When the goal no longer serves the vision. If the goal is no longer serving that vision, then you need to change from it. You need to pivot from it. So you need to know when to continue and when to change, or when to take a different direction from that. It's very important. And this could be a checklist of that. Let's have the next slide. Your integrated roadmap checklist. So this can be a checklist for you. Number one, if your 5-year future direction is clear. If your 1-year outcomes are focused and measurable. If your career path reflects your values and your strengths. So this is an integrated roadmap checklist. These are questions, ask yourself, reflect within yourself and see them. If your capability gaps have development actions, and if your quarterly milestones and next 7-day action are defined. So clarity creates direction, structure creates movement, and consistency creates transformation. If you have clarity, you have a direction. If you have a structure, you are able to keep moving. And if you have that consistency, you're able to create a change, a transformation, and achieve that vision. These are the key takeaways. We're winding up with our session. Remember that vision gives direction and goals create your movement. As you have the vision, you have a direction, but you need the actions and the steps. And having goals makes you move, make you take the actions and reach your fulfilled vision. Your future self must shape your present choices. The future self that you've designed, that you've imagined, it has to shape your present choices. Choose knowing that you're building that future self. Choose knowing that I have to be this person by next 5 years. So your present choices have to be shaped by your future self. Live as someone who has something ahead. Choose things aligning with that future self you've designed. So career mapping creates options, not one rigid path. Though you're a graduate, though you are in a specific profession, creating your career map, it gives you options. It shows you, reveals you other routes, not just sticking into one rigid path. The number 4 takeaway is that skill gaps become manageable when they have actions and dates. Having identified them alone, it's not enough. But taking an action and making that action time-bound, it can make the skill gap manageable. And then the last takeaway is a 5-year vision becomes real through 1-year priorities and weekly action. So you don't just jump to that 5-year vision. It starts with the daily habits. It starts with the weekly actions. It starts with the 1-year priorities. And then you are there to your 5-year vision. Up to here. Is there another slide after this? I think up to here we have come to the end of our session. So this is just something. We said your future is shaped by what you consistently do. Earlier we said that your choices, your priorities that you do repeatedly shape the future. That's what we said in the start, right? So the things that you consistently do, the things you repeatedly do, it's what shapes your future, not what you occasionally feel inspired to become. So if you just feel inspired occasionally, sometimes, and you don't consistently do it, you will not be there. So what shapes your future is your consistency, is your repeated choices, and they makes up that future. So what the first action your future self needs to take? This is more of reflection. So I think up to here we have come to the end of our session, and we'll look into questions. If anybody has a question, a burning question, anybody has something to say, I think there's a time to take that. And I'll give it back to the moderator. And I think Brenda is within. If she also has something to add, I think she can also give more highlight on that. And up to here, thanks all for the attention. And I'll still be available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Mr. Nkwar. I hope we have really enjoyed presentation. To the fellows who received this presentation, kindly fill those reflection questions, fill those tables so that there will be the gap. As if you say that there is gap, and this gap you need to bridge it. In order to bridge it, you at least need to at least have to feel. You need to identify what need to be filled in those gaps. Mr. Brenda is with us here. If you need to say anything, you're highly welcome before I allow the question. Brenda. Brenda, are you with us?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm here.
You're
Good
highly welcome.
afternoon, everybody, and Goa Majok and Nyakwar. Thank you for the amazing presentation and for taking us through that session. So, just a few remarks, and for the followers that are here. Today we did not simply speak about dreams. We went ahead to confront a deeper question that most of us struggle with, which is the choices that we are making today. Are those choices capable of producing the kind of future that we say we want? I know all of us here, if we are given the opportunity, we are able to categorically say, this is the future that I want. All of us can say that. But the question is, are the choices that you're making today, are the actions that you're taking today, are your decisions, are your habits, whatever it is that you're doing today, is it capable of producing that future that you want, the one that you have in your head? Because a vision is not merely a beautiful picture of tomorrow, of the kind of life that you want. It is a commitment that must begin shaping how we live today. So if you know the kind of future that you want tomorrow, it should definitely shape how you are living your life today, how you are using your time today, the kind of skills that you are developing today, the kind of opportunities that you are pursuing today, and the kind of distractions that you must release in your life today. And that is a commitment that everybody has to make at a personal level, because nobody can do that for you. That's why Nyakwar talked about support, accountability partners, a mentor, a coach. I don't know how many of us are seated here and has a coach or a mentor or an accountability partner or somebody in our corner who can help check on us to see if we are actually making any progress towards creating the kind of future that we want. Because all of us have dreams, but dreams without direction remains wishes. You know what that means. That you wish for this, you wish a good life, big house, big cars, money and everything and all that. But without a sense of direction, it remains a wish. And having goals without action also remains intention. So you need to back up your goals with particular actions that can drive you towards achieving those goals. So if you don't have actions, those goals will remain as intentions. And if you have actions and you are not consistent, you can't create actual transformation. So you cannot choose to do one thing today and then come back to it 2 months later. If you do that, there is no consistency. So you will never see an actual transformation. Your future will not be built in one dramatic moment like that. It will be built through the small decisions that you make repeatedly every single day. When nobody is watching, when there is no motivation, when progress is completely invisible, when nobody is clapping for you, when nobody is there to pull you and say, hey, continue moving. So as you leave the session today, do not carry 20 goals in your head. Do not go and sit and start writing 20 goals. Carry clarity with you. Know the kind of person that you are becoming. Identify the future that you are trying to build. And then choose the next meaningful step and take it towards creating that future that you want. Your present circumstances may explain where you are, but they do not have the authority to decide where you will end up tomorrow. There could be a number of things that are limiting your life right now. Those are your current circumstances, but it does not have the power to decide your tomorrow until you give it that power. Your path may change. Your timeline may shift. You may face a number of other setbacks, but your vision is clear. You know what you want, you know where you're going. So you can adjust the route without abandoning the destination because, the destination is what is keeping you going. So I want to challenge you and leave you to be thinking about what does the future you say you want require from the person that you are today. Do not sit around waiting for perfect conditions. Begin where you are with what you have. Take one intentional step, and then another every single day. Because your vision, direction, your goals give you the kind of structure that you need. Your discipline gives you the movement towards that direction. But you also need a lot of courage because that is what you require to actually begin and move towards building the kind of future that you want. Thank you so much, and I do wish us all the best as we clarify anything that the session may not have clarified. Thanks, and over to you, Guamajo.
Thank you so much, Brenda Bayala, for the brief clarification. I hope they get whatever they missed before. And also thank you for the outstanding presentation. So my addition to this is that for those of you who love reading, you can read the book by name Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book you will get that most of the habits shape our future. What we do is what will determine our future. So with Atomic Habits, you will have clue about the consistency, about the small daily actions that you do every day, and later on will compound into significant results. So a vision, it's not just a vision, it is something that you see, others cannot see. But you don't need to limit yourself about that. Even if they don't get it clearly, you focus on it until they will see the result. they intend to see. So up to this point, if you are having any question, I welcome you to ask your question, as our facilitator will be answering the question. If you have any question, unmute yourself. You are highly welcome. Again, our attendant is in the chat. You can fill on the attendant while the question is ongoing. This time for question. If you are also in a noisy place, you can type your question in the chat box here and we'll read it out. You have two choices. You can either unmute to ask the question or type it here in the chat.